let me know if you can hear me. Looks like I'm not getting any feedback.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. Yes. So we have Roxanne Wooding with us today. Um, it's been um a hassle trying to reach her, but then the moment I spoke to her, she said yes, she's willing to do this with us today. So today she's going to teach us, she's going to share her experience, and she's going to teach us about the importance of mindfulness, and then how we can apply mindfulness in every aspect of our lives. So um, can we just show some emojis for her just to welcome her in, to make her feel comfortable? Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so Roxanne, we want you to share a bit about your journey into mindfulness coaching and what led you into the field.
Okay, sure. Well, hello, everyone, and thanks for the emojis. I feel welcome. So, what brought me into mindfulness actually was my own personal experience. I had gone through a couple of things, losing a job, all kinds of things, and I was seeking, uh, I think I was searching for the next phase in my life. And one of the things that happens when you lose a job is you have time by yourself. And I had time to really just dive in and start learning from other people. And then also reflecting on some of the things that I already leaned on before. And mindfulness became a big part of that. And mindfulness really just helped me get into what are some of the things that I do regularly and why do I do them? Are they the best thing for me? Do I need to change how I do some things going forward? And that's what made me get into mindfulness itself. I actually started coaching when I realized that I had already been coaching really on my job. I just didn't know it was called coaching. So, one day I went to a workshop that a friend invited me to, and I loved the workshop. It was more so around women empowerment, but it addressed emotional issues and things about organizing your life and how to be more successful. But I found out that the leader of that was a coach, and I was surprised because I thought coaches only talked about money and how to make, tons of money in a short amount of time or something like that. But then I learned that actually you can be a coach and coach you on anything. You can coach on the things that matter to me, for instance. And really what matters to me is personal growth and really people being able to experience freedom and enjoy their lives.
Hmm. Um, that's a very interesting one, and I'm glad you did um, follow into that path. We won't be here today if you didn't. So, anyway, okay. So, a lot of people hear mindfulness, and they don't really understand what it means. And some people know about it, but there are a lot of myths and misconceptions to it. So, can you really explain it to us what it means, and maybe some general misconceptions that maybe you would like to clear out? Um, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I think sometimes when people think of mindfulness, they think of, sitting at home alone with your legs crossed and eyes closed and you're meditating or something. But actually, mindfulness is really about just having awareness of what's going on in you and around you in the present moment. And then also observing that without judgment. So that is mindfulness. And the key is that you're in the present moment and you're not judging what's going on around you. So you're just observing both your emotions, how you're feeling, also what's going on outside of you. So part of mindfulness is being aware of your space. What do you feel and hear in the room? That kind of thing is also mindfulness. And I think one of the things that reminds me of it is a story of when I went to ShopRite and I was shopping for, well, food, obviously. So I was shopping for food in ShopRite, but I felt like, oh, I'm going to be hungry before I actually finish cooking. So I went to ShopRite and I don't know, ShopRite has this counter where you can buy, bakery goods, like baked goods. And I like the pies, like the fish pie. So I went for a fish pie and I saw like there was only one left. And I was like, yes, that's for me. They've been saving it for me. They knew I was coming because there's only one left. So I went to ask for the fish pie and I said, can I have a fish pie? And the guy looked at me and he put up his one finger and he said, you want one? And then I asked him, because there's only one left. So I was like, are there more in the back? And then he said, no. And so in that moment, he realized that he was asking me, do I want something that they actually don't even have? And he laughed at himself and I laughed. But that actually, believe it or not, was mindfulness. The moment he snapped back in to what was happening right now and noticing that he was on autopilot and asking a question he's just used to asking, that moment was him stepping into mindfulness. So mindfulness can be practiced all throughout your day. It's just being present and like really knowing where you are instead of running on autopilot. So I think the misconception is that you're away from the world being mindful, but actually you're being very active in your day and being mindful with all of your interactions.
Okay, sorry, I think I'm having a lot of technical challenges today. Okay, I think, okay, so now my next question is, now that we have the understanding of mindfulness, it's basically saying that okay, we need to be present where we are at a point of like at a point of in a day, like maybe if I'm working on a task at work, sometimes there are distractions and all that. It's just trying to keep myself in the moment, focusing on what I'm supposed to do at that time. Yes, okay. So, my follow up question is, how does mindfulness help us achieve clarity and results in life? Like, what are some of the like? How does it help us? Like the benefits of mindfulness? Yeah,
Okay, so do you mind if I use you as an example?
that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm always
so
a
now
guinea pig, so
so right okay, so let's talk about so right now you were just distracted, right?
yes, a lot of
Yeah.
distractions today.
Oh, and then so how did that make you feel as you're trying to do one thing over here and then you're distracted by these other things? How do you feel?
I feel confused because I'm trying to focus on this because this is the most important thing at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you feel confused.
Yes, very confused, and I don't want the session. I don't know. I'm recording too, so I don't want the session to be like I don't. I it's like I want to have control of everything I'm doing right now. That's how I feel.
Uh-huh. But the reality is we can only do one thing at a time, really. Right? Like, I mean, there's some, in general, we really can focus, seriously. So you're getting that feeling of confusion, right? And so the idea of mindfulness saying, let me be present and see what I can really do in this moment. What can I really focus on? Mindfulness helps you bring down that confusion, right? So right now you're dealing with distractions and you have to do both. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
If you're in that situation and you take, believe it or not, if you take like a second to pause and really think about, okay, what can I get done realistically in this moment? Believe it or not, you'll have a little bit more creativity around solving your problem than when you try to push through, because that confusion, it's like a little bit of stress, really. because you're trying to do a lot of things at once. But to practice mindfulness, you take a quick break. You can take a quick break. And I mean a break like literally 30 seconds to a minute and take a breath. And really just allow your system to calm back down. And then you actually have the ability to use your brain a little bit more. Because what happens when we get all flustered is that we actually lose blood flow to the brain, because we kind of are getting into this stressful fight or flight mode. And so we're actually losing the resources, the biological resources we need to be creative and make the good decisions we want to make. So what we do, our habit is to push through and like, let's make this work, right? But if we pause for just a second, sometimes we can just bring our body back to a regulated state and then say, okay, find that just a little bit of like a little space, a little room in the mind to take a little break. It'll let you go, oh, okay, actually I could do this, right? Actually, I could be a little creative. I could ask Roxanne a question that takes her a really long time to answer, so I can finish whatever I'm doing over here. You know, you can make it up, whatever it is. But you can be a little more creative when you take a deep breath. One, our breath shortens when we're a little stressed, and if you take a deeper breath, it'll give us oxygen to our brain. So we do that, and that adds a little space for us. But then two, just really ask yourself the question, like, what can I really do in this moment? And that helps, believe it or not.
I think it helped me right now. I'm really being like guinea pig these days anyway. Okay, my follow-up question now is can we okay, so you use me as a guinea pig right now, like a real life example. So what of in the professional space, maybe a real life example? I think we have most of our audience are workers. I think we have two students also here with us. Maybe an example that can help them, give them a just an example that can make them understand what mindfulness means and how they can practice it. Yes.
Yeah, sure. In the workspace, one of the things that I work with people on is actually that pause. So like if you're at work, I always use this example of like, we'll call the person like Jamie or whatever. So Jamie comes to you and says, oh, you have to do this thing. We have to do it right away. It's urgent, blah, 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 right? You don't work in a hospital, no one, it's not a life or death situation. Someone comes to you and they're like, it's urgent, must be done, all that. But it's like a big project. It's not, something small. One of the things I work with people on is actually taking a pause, like taking a second, like 90 seconds to really like take in what the person is requesting, really think about what they're requesting, what it's needed for, and even ask any follow-up questions that you need before you jump up and start working. And that's a bit of mindfulness in itself. It's just because part of that is, this person, what did I name him? Jamie. So Jamie has come in and given you all of their nervous energy, right? And you've also taken in the nervous energy from their urgency. And so you don't even realize it. You don't, like, you're flustered and you don't even know why, because that person has come in. And now if you jump in to start working right away, you're also flustered and working, and you actually don't even know why you're working that way. But if you take 90 seconds to just take a deep breath, take in what the person is requesting, and really think about, okay, going forward, how am I going to do this, that kind of thing, and pay attention to your emotions. How did it make me feel when that person came? Because a lot of things, we don't realize a lot of things are attached to just a simple request. maybe I don't even like this person at work. And I'm just I'm just mad that they're asking me something else, and so if you're aware that that's how I feel, actually helps, believe it or not, to take off some of the stress from this urgent request. And you really take 90 seconds to just like relax and really take it for what it is, the simple request that it is, and then also move forward. So I work with people to do that, because what happens a lot is we jump up and we're so ready to do, and we sometimes work backwards. We do more than we needed to do. We don't move strategically. And then we end up having to do some things over again, or finding out, if I just would have asked a follow-up question, I would have saved myself a couple of hours sometimes. And so, just tell people to take that pause, because when you're working under stress, again, it goes back to that you're not being creative, you're not really being the best problem solver that you could be, because you're working in a stress mode. So in that situation, I would say you take 90 seconds, because it takes about 90 seconds to let emotions work through your body, and go out if you don't really give a lot of energy to them. So you take 90 seconds to calm down, take in what the person's requesting, think about what you have to follow up and ask questions on before you even get started, and then move. And that's hard for a lot of people, believe it or not, especially if you are a people pleaser. So, yeah.
Okay, so with what you said right now, I noticed that I have a colleague that does that. Um, when you're bringing in a request and he's not ready, he'll tell you, "Can you give me a moment? I'll come to you." So in that moment, you could see that he wants to be present. He wants to be ready for everything that you are saying. So when he approaches you, you could see that he's more present than maybe when he's passing by, or when you just walk up to him. Sometimes when you just walk up to him, you realize that he's just off. He's not even paying attention to anything you say. But when you give him that moment and he comes to you, you see that he's now psyched his mind and he's positioned his mind to actually listen to what you're saying. Yes, so that's another example as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Now we are in a high pressure society. Um. There's a lot of move, 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 move. Like you need to keep moving and all that. How? What are some of the ways we can practice mindfulness in this situation? Because a lot of people are money minded. Like there are lots of bills that need to be paid. People are looking for money. There's so much pressure. How can we use mindfulness in these situations as well?
Sure. I think that mindfulness helps you to focus on strategy. You've heard the work smarter, not harder, that saying. And yeah, right. So I think mindfulness helps you with establishing a strategy, and then also sticking to it. Because I think in this time, it's very easy to start something, to feel like it's not working fast enough, and then move to the next thing. Start something, feel like it's not working fast enough, and move to the next thing. And, I think there, you can spend years trying to find quick money,
Yeah.
right? And so I think with mindfulness, if you take some time to really get in touch with yourself. So mindfulness, again, the key to it is observation. You're observing yourself and you're observing the world. And so if you take some time to really observe yourself, so take a look at what gives you energy when you work, what drains your energy, right? And how does that relate to business? Because if you're starting a business, if you're chasing money, whatever it is, when you're trying to figure out what to do, think about those things that give you energy when you do it, because those things will help you get momentum to continue on when it gets hard, because it will get hard. Business just gets hard. Not
Yeah.
there's no point. If someone has the magical business where it doesn't get hard, please let me know and I will join you there. But it gets hard, so you want to pay attention to what gives you energy, what drains you, even as you work on your business, as you're moving, so that you can plan around those things. So for instance, if something really drains you, but you have to get it done anyway for your business, maybe you plan that at the beginning of the day instead of, in the evening, after 11 or whatever, trying to get it done when you're already exhausted, right?
Yeah.
I would say that pay attention to yourself, what you're excited about, what you also pay attention to the things that you do naturally that you're not considering as a business or as a talent because it comes natural to you, right? So if you're still seeking what business to get into and that kind of thing, also like really take notice of the things that you do naturally well, even though you don't see it as a business or you don't see the value in it yet. Because even if you don't go into it as a business, it could add value. It could enhance something that you're going into anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of it actually. So I sing on the weekends. I'm a singer and I sing every weekend. When I first got to Ghana, I thought it was absolutely nuts that people sang for 3 hours straight. I was like, that doesn't make sense. And now I do it. And so I've built up the muscle to sing for 3 hours straight. But I'm also a speaker, right? So I can take the training that is happening while I'm singing and use that for my speaking voice to, take care of my voice as a speaker. I can connect those two, or, I can always go somewhere and sing and then say, oh, I do this work here. So the things can intertwine, and so you want to be mindful of everything that you have going for you. And because I run into a lot of people that downplay themselves. They're looking outward, like, what can I start? What has someone else started that was successful that I can follow? But actually, if you take some time to really do an inventory on yourself, and I would challenge you to, even if you haven't done this already, make a list of everything you do well. Like, write it down so you can see it and see everything you do. I mean, down to the smallest thing, like you do, I don't know, when you do laundry, your whites get the cleanest. I don't know, whatever. but, but make a list because we often downplay ourselves. So list so you're aware and building up your awareness of who you are. So when you walk into a room, when you're looking for a deal, whatever, you actually walk in with that list very aware of what you bring to the table. Makes sense?
Yes, 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 so much sense. Okay, so you spoke about overthinking as one of the misconceptions of mindfulness. Um, for some, okay, so I use myself as a guinea pig again. Um, so for someone like me, I overthink situations, and most of the time I like to be alone. Um, because I overthink situations, I want to make sure that I'm I'm thinking the right thoughts. I'm not overthinking the situation. So
Mm.
for someone like me, how do I how do I how do I tell the difference when I'm overthinking and then if I'm trying to be in my mindful state? How do I balance that?
That's a good question. I would say so. Mindfulness is really observing, right? So the difference between the overthinking and the mindfulness is observing the thoughts. With mindfulness, your thoughts aren't you. So you find a way to separate yourself from them. So that's part of the practice is just looking at what's going on in your mind. So even if you're sitting quietly, let's say I'm sitting quietly and I'm like, I think about work I realized I think about work a lot. I think about, or a particular problem, which was how, honestly, how I started my mindfulness practice, was trying to solve some of the emotional things that I was thinking about a lot. Um, Overthinking is kind of spinning around with that thought, right? Thinking about that same thing over and over again. Mindfulness is being curious about what is it about that makes it keep showing up in my mind. It's not mindfulness. It's very it's non-judgmental, right? It's not thinking about you're not judging yourself. You're just observing what's going on. So you want to make sure that as you're thinking through and analyzing, which is fine, you can go through and say, okay, but why? That's the best question. Why does that matter to me? Why is that so important? Why does it keep coming up? And really get down to what is it that, and if you can keep asking yourself why, like, why is it coming up? Why does that matter to me? Okay, it matters because of this. Now, why does that matter to me? Oh, that matters to me because of this. And you follow that trail of why. I think that is more so on your path to mindfulness rather than just overthinking and rethinking about the problem. Or going, like, another product of overthinking is perfectionism, right? Maybe you ask why, and it's like, because it needs to be perfect. Then why does it need to be perfect? And then you go down that track, like, oh, it needs to be perfect because, X, Y, and Z. So if it needs to be perfect, you find out what's the real reason it needs to be perfect. Will something really happen to you if you have a small mistake here? Yeah.
Okay. So I'll try that and give you feedback. Particularly. Okay. When it comes to emotional intelligence and self-awareness, how does mindfulness come to play here? Because sometimes I'll use a typical example. When you're at work, they say you have to be of your best behavior at work. You don't have to lose it. You have to be emotionally intelligent and all that. And sometimes in the rush, or you tend to react quickly before you even think that, okay, you have actually reacted to a certain situation in a way you were not supposed to react to that way.
Mhm.
How do we then train ourselves to be like emotionally intelligent in such situations?
Yeah. So the first step is that awareness that you don't want to do that again, right? Realize, yeah, you realize that it's not a behavior that you want to repeat. So that's your first level of awareness. And then you want to go into, okay, what do I want to do? So this also takes some time after it has happened. So you've done it, you responded in a way you didn't want to. Now you do take some time to reflect and you say, okay, what do I want to do next time? Because part of that is if you plan ahead, it's very difficult to say, I want to stop doing this.
Yeah.
If you don't have a plan to do something different, right? It's like, I'm not going to eat chips anymore, but I don't have any other food in my place. I'm obviously going to eat the chips. So we want to have a plan for the next time, and that's your reflection time, right? So what's my plan for the next time? Next time I would have rather just said what was on my mind. And you can replay what happened and say, what would I rather said in that moment?
Okay.
So at least you have like a little script for yourself. Now, next time that happens, you may not again do it perfectly. You may not say exactly what you said, but you may stop yourself sooner where it doesn't go as far. So you want to focus on progress. You want to each time like catch yourself a little earlier. Eventually, you won't even have that thought because what's happening is we're rewiring our brain, right? Like we're finding a way to stop our normal pattern, you know?
Yeah.
And if we stop our normal pattern, it's not abrupt. because that groove is there. That groove in our brain that's always used to going that certain way is there. So we have to go another way more times than once, so that we can get another groove going for ourselves. And eventually, we'll develop a new pattern. The key to is, again, not judging yourself as you're learning that new pattern. Because what we tend to do, start this kind of cycle of shame. And I'll say we, like, this is what I used to do. Is I start this cycle of shame where I would say, oh, I shouldn't have said that, right, to that person in that way. And then next time, maybe I don't do exact same thing, but I don't do the perfect thing. And then I shame myself because I'm like, "Oh, I didn't do it again." And then I add this cycle of shame and all of that. And after a while, I'm just not talking because I'm like, well, I'm not going to open my mouth at all because I don't say the right thing when I talk. And we don't need that. We don't need you to say, I'm not going to go there anymore because I don't know how to act. No, it's just allowing yourself to have that gray area where you're still learning, where you're still trying to figure it out until you eventually create the new groove for yourself.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, Emmanuel.
So I'm even realizing that I think based off our conversations, so we want to find out. We are one of the reasons why I have most of my audiences in finding our purpose. And so you made mention earlier that to be able to, I mean, if you want to start a business, you it's good to have like a list of the things that you know how to do very well, and then things that come off like easy when you are executing them, then you try and channel and then make some money on that. We want to delve deeper into that subject. We want to know how mindfulness would help people get their true purpose. So for me, I don't know, we had an earlier conversation, and I was telling you that there's been some kind of change. I've been wanting to do some kind of change in terms of my career and all that. It took me quite some time. I had to sit with myself. In the tech space, you are presented with like quite a lot of options to do this, to do that, to do this, and then people are telling you, "Oh, you're good. Just do this. You're good. You can be able to do this." But I mean, deep down yourself, you know that this thing that you're going. I had a mentor who was pushing me into the cybersecurity space, and I knew deep down in my heart that I couldn't do it no matter how I tried. There was no um, way I could do it. And so, in such a situation like that, it's like you are still trying to find out what you are good at, what you can make money off, and all that. So, for someone like me, how did we find our purpose using mindfulness? How do we plan um, using mindfulness to achieve the things that we want to achieve or where we want to see ourselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'll start with saying how I do view purpose. So I do not view our purpose as a destination.
Mm,
I don't.
okay.
I and this is why, right? So, okay, we prayed on here, so I'll frame it this way. I'm a
Oh,
Christian.
feel free.
No, no,
Anyway,
I'm a Christian as well, so
oh,
I'm like,
okay.
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 um, so you just can't tell me that my creator made my whole life and I'm wasting all this time to get to one purpose that's in some random point in my life when I'm 45.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, are you like, you can't tell me that. You can't tell me that all of this is a waste until I find the thing that he made me for. Um, and also, the way my relationship with God works, every time that I really feel like I'm in the presence of God, He is making everything work really for everyone's good. Like, we're all showing up to a place for a different reason altogether.
Yeah.
And a place could be a building, a place could be, we're like here, we're all here on this platform. We could be here for all different reasons, right? I could just show up here because I want to be nosy, whatever. But the way, but the way God works, right, is that somehow He finds a way for this to work for all of us in the way we need it. Whether it happens now, like in this moment, you hear the thing you need to hear, or it happens, a week from now where, you meet someone and you're like, oh, I was on that call too, you too. And that means we have the same interests. And now I feel more comfortable working with you. Right.
Yeah.
I think that purpose is just a continuous thing that we're working in right now. Right. Because let's not underestimate, everyone on this call meets people all the time. You have family. Let's be real. There are people that are inspired by you.
Yeah.
And you may not feel like you're at your purpose, but someone is watching you and saying, oh, I like how they move. I want to be like that.
Yeah.
Someone 5 years old is probably, trying to imitate you right now. And so you telling me that that influence that you have right now is not part of your purpose? Absolutely not. It's all part of it.
It's all part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I look at it like that, I tend to say that finding your purpose is really about finding out how you work. And so mindfulness comes into play because mindfulness unpeels the layers of yourself. To say, oh, how do I work? That's why I say, what gives you energy? What excites you? What kind of people do you like to be around? What kind of things do you like to do? If you move in that direction without necessarily having a title, you never know what opportunities come up for you.
Yeah.
Because you're working in your purpose by just following the way you were made. And this is, and let me be clear, this is not a selfish thing. If we really dig into the way we're made, the things that make us happy, it's not really a selfish thing. That's why so many people struggle in their pursuit of money, because it doesn't feel fulfilling, even though they know they need money, but it doesn't feel fulfilling because you're missing this other layer of service, because service is how we're wired. And not to say you're meant to work for free, but what will be fulfilling for us is the thing that we do well that serves other people well also. And money is just an exchange. It's just a part of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. It does make so much sense. I'm also trying to.
Thanks, Timothy. Thanks, Emmanuel.
Timothy knows why he's clapping.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm curious now.
Don't worry, I'll tell you after the call. Okay. Okay, so we have you as a mindfulness coach. We can book sessions with you, but are there other resources that we can hop on to explore mindfulness further?
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, YouTube is an endless resource, right? If you type in mindfulness, I know a lot of just simple exercises will come up where you can do guided meditations, and you can do short ones that are like 5 minutes or so. Also, I think for this group, someone like Ellen Langer, she's a mindfulness expert as well that I follow. Ellen, Ellen, and then last name is Langer, Langer. Is that right? Yeah, Ellen Langer. And so I think she's helpful because she talks about using mindfulness in your everyday life, right? So how mindfulness opens up the possibilities of your life,
Okay.
which it really does. So I think that's helpful for this group. If you're trying to um, put mindful, like kind of, use mindfulness for business or just living your life and discovering your purpose. And so she has been on some podcasts and stuff lately too. And she has books out. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So on to my last, is the last, okay, last but one question.
Okay.
What are some of the, I mean, you've mentioned some of the exercises like taking a pause, the 90-second pause, taking a deep breath. Um, are they other exercises that we can do um, to be mindful of where we are, what we are feeling at some point in time, and all these things, and especially to when we are planning, that any other any other exercises that um, we can do to help us be mindful when we are facing some challenging situations. Yes.
Yeah, so I always start people out off with the my mindfulness tool. I just call it war. I mean, sorry, bar.
But
Bar.
okay.
I have another one called war that I go through later. But there's one I call bar, right? So it's breath, awareness, and resources.
Okay.
So it's just you can make it as long or short as you want, but you take a minute. So if you're in public, of course, this would be done with your eyes open and everything. But if you have time to sit by yourself, you can do it then too. But you start with deep breaths, right? Your diaphragm. So you take the breath in through your mouth, your nose, sorry, and go straight down to your stomach. And then you exhale through your mouth, as slowly as possible. So you want to do like a 6 or 7 count breath, right? Taking breaths. And so you start there just focusing on your breath. And then as you're breathing and you go back to your normal breath, your normal rhythm. So you take 3 big deep breaths. Let me say that. 3 big deep breaths. And then after the 3 breaths, you focus on what's around you. So your awareness. So you just focus on your senses, what you smell, see, hear, what you feel in the room, on your skin, is it hot or cold, that kind of thing. Then the R, so for bar, you focus on your resources. What do you have available to you? What are you good at? What can you do versus what you can't? Right. And so you may also consider resources as gratitude, like what are you grateful for? That kind of thing. So bar, breath, awareness, and resources. And that you can stop and do anywhere you are, even as you're moving. And because believe it or not, just the redirection to what you have available versus what you don't actually starts your brain to work into a more creative space as well to problem solve.
Okay. So you mentioned so the last one, the resources, what you have available, but some people tend to ruminate on what they don't have available. How do we treat such a situation as like that too?
How do we change that?
Yes. How do we redirect ourselves? I have a typical example. Um, I need money to do something, but
Mm-hmm.
as of now, I just have, let's say, 10 CDs. And so instead of me focusing on what this 10 CDs can do, I'm ruminating on what I need, like what's what I what I don't have, and then now it's a showstopper. So I'm stuck because I feel like, okay, I have 10 CDs. Instead of focusing on the 10 CDs, what I can use the 10 CDs for, I'm focusing on the the focusing on what I don't have. How do I then channel that energy? Because a lot of people do that, including
Mm-hmm.
myself sometimes.
Yeah, so it takes practice. So everything takes practice. I would say, so what I like to do is what I call front loading your day. So before anything even comes up, every morning having some sort of morning routine, and you start with what do I have? or what am I grateful for some people. For me, I combine it like I do, like if you do a morning prayer, right? Maybe if you do a morning prayer, you make sure the prayer either starts or ends just completely on what you're grateful for. What do I have? Right? And it could be what do I have? What am I good at? You know, all of those things, the can do's. So that is something you can do literally every single morning to train your mind to look for that. And that works well because you're not fighting an uphill battle. Rather than trying to respond and switch up when the situation gets bad, if you train yourself when even when times are good to always look for what do I have, what's going well, what's good, then when those situations do come up, it's easy for you to flip that switch on and start looking, because the thing is we get what we look for, period.
Yeah.
Like if we're looking for lack, we get it. The best thing I've heard recently about lack is, um, there's this guy, Byron Golden. He has a lot of stuff on YouTube, but he's a financial advisor, a businessman, right? And but he also does like Bible studies. It's interesting. He's a pastor, and one of the things I heard him say that I was like, "This is golden," is he said, the first issue that they had in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, he said it wasn't that they disobeyed God; it was that they focused on lack. Because he's like, you have this whole big garden here, and you focus on the one thing you can't touch, right? And that's what we do all the time. Is like, oh, but I don't have that thing. And no, don't get me wrong, it can be vital, but if I say I don't have the money I need, I don't have the money I need, right? It also is taking up brain space from figuring out how to get the money you need. Like how to figure out, oh, what are ways that I could make money? Because that you can get creative with. So I would say start with front loading your day to make it a regular habit of thinking of what you're grateful for, and then also reinforcing new ideas in your mind. So if there's something around money, thinking of some sort of affirmation around that. And it doesn't even have to be like a fake, like, not fake, but it doesn't have to be one of these like money comes to me easily. You
Yeah.
know, maybe you have a plan. So one of the things I've done for myself in the past is if I have a plan for something and it just hasn't whatever the fruit of that hasn't invested yet, what I do is I rehearse my plan as part of my gratitude. Like I'll say, like one of my affirmations is, I'm building the life that I want. Like this life I have now is from the decisions I have made, right? So I'm ownership, and I'm continuing to build on that, right? So it's not we like up in the sky or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm building my life, the life I want. So now when I go out, I'm thinking of I think, okay, it's a funny way to say it, but I've hashtagged like building the life I want in my mind. So that's for, right? So now my mind is very aware of let's find the things that help build the life she wants. Rather than if I say, I don't have money, then my mind will be like, oh, okay, let's look for all the ways she's lacking money. Because that's how our mind works. Our mind gets more efficient at whatever we tell it to do. So if I tell it, I don't have, I don't have, oh, our mind will keep looking for what we don't have. We have to interrupt that and say, no, this is what we're doing.
Hmm. Okay, 6. So I would open the room for questions from our audience. Is
Thank
uh,
you.
Please, I know you have questions. Ask. This free coaching session. Oh. Next time you have to pay. So please ask your questions. Um, Okay, so my mom is here. Mommy, ask your questions. Tracy, ask your questions. I'm seeing Wendell, who just joined us. Tim, you have questions? Ask. Or next time we'll be paying Roxanne to. Okay, I knew it. Please ask.
Oh,
Please.
pressure, pressure.
Hi, everyone. And
Hi.
Roxanne, very lovely talk.
Thank
Very
you.
lovely talk. Good. So what you're saying, I believe that to be very true. How I see the world is it's a very large canvas. It's a large open canvas, and then we draw whatever we want onto it. And once we start drawing, things or situations in our life start moving towards what we are drawing to be able to help us on our journey, right? And if you think negative, of course, you imagine drawing a curve upward and then now you're drawing it downward again. Of course, everything will tell you it's not your mind trying to sabotage you. It's just telling you or pushing you in the direction of your thoughts. So if you are thinking negative, you will keep going down that rabbit hole up until it can get very messy for you. And likewise, if you think positive and think, okay, look, I don't have all of the resources yet, I don't have all of the answers yet, but hold on, let me not break down about this. Let me draw what I want to see and then let's see it happen. You begin to realize that your world, your surroundings, everything around starts pushing you towards that and then starts edging you on. You get a call that's related to what you were thinking about. You meet somebody that speaks about what you were dreaming about, and then it just keeps pushing you forward. So I don't think we should be fighting against ourselves. We should just move with a plan. It may seem to some, it may seem like a disorganized, it may seem a bit disorganized, but I don't see it that way. I see it as, um, look, you have control over everything. You have control over everything in this world. This is what the human being is supposed to be. I mean, um, the beginning of Genesis says basically we have control over all things. That is the gift we've been given. So, and this, a lot of people forget, but this includes our mind and what we can create, right? So we shouldn't be afraid. We should just move forward. We shouldn't let any of these things stop us in what we want to do. So that's my 2 cents on the issue. Thank you.
Nice, Timothy. Timothy, do you mind if I ask you what you do?
I built software. I've been building software for quite a long time, and then I also run a call center and I run a school for software quality assurance as well. So basically,
Oh,
anything interesting that comes to mind, I build. Anything that comes to mind, I just try and put it out there and see what happens. And
nice.
so far, so good. Yeah.
Were you practicing mindfulness before, or were you learning today what it's about? What did you?
I think it's been I think I've been on a journey where I've had to learn a lot about myself. I've had to also through or discard a lot about myself and then rediscover who I am. It was a journey that took a lot of things, including removing my diet, turning vegan, and then moving on, doing so many different other things. So yeah, it's been a journey. So I think mindfulness in there, I got to learn little things.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because you sound like you probably practice either meditation or something. Like you have some sort of practice
So
yourself.
say hi.
Hi. But thank you, Timothy.
All right, thank you. All right then.
Bye.
Roxanne, you now get why he was clapping.
Mm. Hmm.
Yes, so any more submissions from our audience? Please, the floor is yours. Feel free to ask any question. The next time you'll be speaking to Roxanne, you'll be paying for it too. Hmm. Okay. Um, There are no questions. I know my mom has a question. I don't know why she's not asking the question. Mommy, you text me the question. I'll ask for you. Mohammed, I know you have a question. Ask. Okay. If there are no questions, then I would ask one last question and then we quickly log off. So we want to know, um, can you share like maybe an example, a client that has used mindfulness, like maybe a state of a situation in which they were in, and then how they use mindfulness to get them out of that situation. I know you've dealt with a lot of people, so maybe an example.
Yeah.
That's the first question.
So I have there are two examples I have. There's one that I have where actually it was that negative thinking, right? There was someone that I was talking to that did not get into a program they wanted to get into, and she was in school, and and she didn't get into this program. She wanted to travel and everything, and it actually ended up being it didn't go through, right? And she thought, oh man, this is, this is it. Like I'm not, she was very sad about it. And, um, and I remember we talked, I thought, oh, this is going to be, we're having a coaching session. I set aside an hour and all of that. And in the first like 10 minutes or so, we're talking through this situation. And I'm like, and I just simply asked her, okay, so everything that has happened, because everything was kind of in the past, out of everything that has happened, is there anything stopping you from being successful right now and doing what you need to do now? And just that question made her stop and think. And she's like, I don't need to talk to you anymore. She was like, because actually there's nothing stopping her from doing what she needs to do now except her own thought of replaying the past.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's a big one, is like playing the past. People who spend too much time in the past and then too much time also
Yeah.
that anxiety or that kind of depression around what has happened or what they think might happen. So again, mindfulness, getting present in this moment and focusing on what you can do now. It just literally snapped her out of her funk. And she's like, wait, I really can do anything I want right now. It's like, yes, you can. Another situation, it was just, it seems too easy, but it actually helps someone. It was an older client that I had, and she's like retired and everything from work, and she wanted to move into this next chapter and do a project, because she's always been into photography and just never gone into it. And she started that project. She kept wanting to start the project, but there was some sort of mental block to it, and she couldn't quite figure it out. Because she had talked about it, she had told people it was coming, and she just never could just get it done. And we talked about just her day, like things that she does. So she takes these walks every single day, and she has a routine every single day, right? The same routine, which is a healthy one, actually. It's a healthy routine. She walks, eats right, all that stuff. And I said, okay, well, somehow our talking made me suggest to her that she just take a different route, like take a different route on her.
Okay.
And she's like, literally, it changed her life, just taking a different route.
How?
It sounds weird, right?
Yeah.
But what was happening is she was in such a routine that it was hard for her to be creative and move forward with something new. So we took something that she was already doing, her walk, and when she went on the new route, what actually happened was her brain had to be more alert because it was a different route. So she had to be aware of, we're doing something new. we're more alert because we want to know, okay, are there any dangers out here? I have to remember my way back because it's a new route. I have to, so you're actually more aware. So it awakened her awareness just to go down a different street and have to find her way home, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now her brain is like a little more open to doing something new with her work. So it was very funny, but she was like this simple thing, and she was so afterwards. She's like, it was great. So started, yeah. So every now and then she started changing up her route, and it helps keep her awareness. It just helps her senses because a lot of times we go through on this autopilot, and after a while, I don't know if you've done this where you start to do things so the same way all the time. You're now not even aware of it. You're not living the moment.
Yeah.
Like you brush your teeth and you're like, I think I brushed my teeth, but you don't remember because you so you're doing it every day. And so our life starts to be like that because we're not doing anything new. We're not, expanding our mind. So yeah, learning is definitely a big plus when it comes to, raising your awareness and being more mindful.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Roxanne. I think today I have like 4 pages.
Oh,
And I'm feeling like I need to re-watch this episode over and over and over again to get it right.
oh, I'm glad it was helpful.
Anyway, Roxanne, thank you so much. Please, where can we find you on social media?
Sure. You can, if you go to everybody'shuman.com, let me put it in the
Okay.
chat.
Okay.
Then you can, basically all my links are there. My
Okay.
WhatsApp, everything is there.
Okay.
Um, covered. Yeah, so WhatsApp, Instagram, um, I'm sorry, yeah, not WhatsApp, sorry, Instagram, LinkedIn, my website, how to book me,
Yeah.
all those
Okay.
things are there. And I also put on an event in Kumasi called Social Therapy
Okay.
uh, every couple of months. So that link is there. So different things.
I think I might want to come to Kumasi because of you.
Um, we have fun.
Yes, yes. Anyway, thank you so much, Roxanne. We really learned a lot from you. I know more questions will keep coming, and as they come, I would let you know. Um, thank you so much. We normally start with a prayer. We want to end with a prayer. So I'm trying to fish out who would say that prayer for me. Today, everybody has been quiet. I don't know. Tracy, can you say a prayer for us to end our session?
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Uh, Dear Lord, I thank you for bringing us all here today to hear what Roxanne has for us. We pray that whatever she taught us about mindfulness, we are able to use it in the way we are meant to find our purpose and to get to where we need to be. We pray that you order our steps and that as Roxanne is going to coach other people, you bless her and protect her, and then you lead her in whatever she has to say to touch somebody. In Jesus' name I pray, thanksgiving. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. I think this is the first time somebody has actually prayed for the speaker. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank you.
for yes, for a very lovely
You're
prayer.
welcome. And
Thank you so much, Roxanne. Have a lovely evening, everyone, and see you same time next month. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.